Oh, he's not. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday meeting of the BOCC. We want to start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask Commissioner Mortensen a review on the minutes.
I can't do it because I haven't been impaneled. So as usual, I reviewed the minutes of the activities last week and I moved to approve those minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes. Any comments, corrections? Okay, seeing none, call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll run down consent agenda. Before I do, I will point out that at 9:30, we have a public hearing. So I'll have to be cognizant of the 9:30 time. And then we do have Board of Health today at 10 a.m. So. Consent agenda, call for bids. Call for bids for rental of equipment used in public works maintenance. And construction activities in 2025. And that call for bids is scheduled for December 18th, 2024 at 1:30. Call for bids for culvert pipe, beveled and in sections, couplers, and other drainage system products for the period of January 2025 through December of 2025. That's also scheduled for December 18th, 2024 at 1:30. And then call for bids for one-time purchase of 10 portable litter fences for the headquarters landfill. And that's scheduled for December 31st of this year at 2 p.m. We used the fence to kind of control some of the product from blowing into the trees and different stuff. Under agreements, contracts, bid awards, I have a whole list of at the end of year updating contracts with a new maturity date through the end of next year. So we'll run through these. The first two aren't there. 4 and 5 are different, but then there's a list of just updating dates. Number 4 is we're extending the agreement with the event center property exchange between the city of Longview and Cowlitz County to extend the effective date of the right of reversion to February 14th, 2031. It was set to expire in 2025, this next year, right? Yeah. And the commissioners agreed to extend that with at the Expo Center. Amendment to the interlocal agreement regarding design, developing, financing, construction, and operation of the Regional Conference and Special Event Center with Cowlitz County Public Facilities District. Pretty sure, Brian, this relates to moving the entrance to Fifth Avenue and the work that needs to be done there, that we need to update that interlocal. Six through 11 are all extension of existing contracts we have with people through updating the dates through the 2025 in most cases. The first one is it's a local agency consulting agreement with Foundation Engineering, moving the expiration date to December 31st, 2025. There's no additional cost on that one. A lot of these I would say all these contracts when we did them, they went out for an RFP or a proposal, and they have a term on them. They're usually 4 or 5 years, and we'll take a look at them each year. If it's going satisfactory, they'll extend them another year. When it gets to the end of that 4 or 5, then there'll be another proposal that'll come on. So a lot of these are somewhere in that range from the initial contract. 7 is a supplement agreement with local agency consulting agreement with the Jacobs Associates, DBA Delve Underground for on-call geotechnical engineering. We moved that to 2025, and that has added, it's been 2 years in place, and I think we pretty, if I remember right, yesterday Susan said we pretty much have spent the 200, so we've added 100,000 to that. They kind of work with us on landslides and different things that happen around the county. Number 8, supplemental agreement. Number 2, the local agency with WSP USA. WSP isn't Washington State Patrol. It's a national organization. I think she said yesterday that are located down in California, but they're all over the United States. This is on the South Cloverdale Road project to extend the expiration date. This one actually till December 31st, 2026. And extend the maximum from 456,557 to 525,550. Number 9, an agreement to local consulting agreement with Ecological Land Services for on-call environmental analysis services to address additional environmental things that arise. This one will extend to the end of next year, 2025, and the amount, we've added 50,000 to that. Number 10, consulting agreement with Environmental Services Associates, on-call environmental analysis. We work with them also, extending that to December 2025, and revised the hourly rate, raise that one from 100,000 to 150. And the last one on the consent agenda is with PBS Engineering and Environmental Inc. for needed unmanned aerial vehicle services, drone work. Once again, raising that from 100,000 to 150 for this additional year, and extends it to the end of 2025. Resolution 2025 budget resolution to certified election and flood control zone district. Resolution rescinding number 20-101 and adopting a revised Taos County procurement policy. We had a workshop on that a while back, and basically the state of Washington changed laws, so we had to change the way we kind of procured some of the smaller contract stuff. So we've changed our way of doing that. And that leads to number 14, resolution establishing a small works roster and authorizing the use of small works roster process to award public works contracts. Then a resolution to certify the special district levies and special district levy and budgets. These are for all the districts, the cities, et cetera, that come in. Correspondence. Letter to Aubrey Southworth, appointing her to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, representing collectors. A letter to Raylene Aguirre, appointing her to the Planning Commission, 4-year term that expires January 31st, 2028. Letter to Denise Green, thanking her for applying for the Planning Commission at this time the position was filled. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission notice dated 11/12/24 regarding 2023 external audit of Pacific Core. And a letter dated 11/12/24 to Jennifer Ray, from Jennifer Ray King, Port of Woodland Executive Director, regarding the formation of a tax increment area to fund a suite of public improvement projects. And vouchers this past week, we received vouchers in an amount of $6,309,523.48. That was a mouthful, but I think that's it. Anything else on consent?
Mr. Chairman, I did want to point out that items 1 and 2, the call for bids are for bids from a number of different providers. So that as the Public Works Department needs to order these materials, they can choose from a number of different providers in the county in order to get the best price. This is one of the changes in the state law that allows us to do that, to again, be able to shop around without having to go out for special bids for every single project, adding a lot of costs in the processing of those equipments. Item number 4 refers to a longstanding project, an agreement that we've been working with the Public Facilities District and the Conference Center to provide the opportunity for a hotelier to come in. That would require an exchange of land, and it helps to, we had put a 5-year time period that the land would revert back to the county ownership if no hotel had been purchased. This is the second extension. There continue to be interest by some hoteliers. So we're still keeping that very much alive. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was item number 8, which was an increase in the amount going to the WSP Consulting Group working on Cloverdale Road, South Cloverdale. If you've been attending these meetings, this has been a long and involved improvement project. And along the way, we had everything all ready to go. And the state said, oh, you missed something. We changed one of the requirements, and you have to do an analysis of tire dust from bicycles. I kid you not, I mean, that was about a $76,000 increase in time and effort and energy, the analysis. However, the tire dust, we kind of griped about it too, but the tire dust is actually the chemicals from tires that help keep the tires longer lasting so that they don't blow frequently. So it's not only bicycles, but all tires are doing that. And apparently the environmentalists have noticed that that's a chemical that has some bad effects on animals. So we had to do an analysis on that. We got a grant by agreeing to widen the paving to allow for a bike lane. And then that triggered this other extra cost. Those are some of the fun things we get to do as commissioners, trying to anticipate changes that the state throws our way all the time. Entertain any other questions?
I'm questioning 9, 10, and 11. I used to work for ALS before it became in the old country, the company that they took over. But anyways, having worked there, and I'm really questioning a $50,000 raise a year. That seems to me a little much. If they can tell us why they feel that increase is justified, then I'd like to hear on all 3 of those, because it seems like
So Ecological Land Services, if I understand it correctly, specializes in wetland mitigation and doing the kind of studies whenever we do a road construction project and widen the areas, we have to address any kind of wetlands threats. So typically it's running about $50,000, which isn't a whole lot for, you can look at all the other ones and the other increases. We extended their contract for another year, and it's about $50,000 a year. That's where the $50,000 comes from.
okay. Well, my thing is, a lot of times when you have a development or road improvement, the person who's doing the development pays for that anyways. I don't know. It just hit me because like I said, I used to work for them. I did chemical analysis, and I realized that it doesn't take that much. But you're giving another light to it, so I understand. But still, it's high.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve today's consent agenda as prepared by staff.
Okay. We have a motion to approve today's consent agenda. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll move into motion items.
So good morning, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. I have 3 items for the board to consider today. The first is adoption of the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act transition plans for Public Works right-of-way. We have been working on this for quite a while. So we started off trying to do it in-house. Our staff during the down season, the winter season, our inspectors went out and started inventorying all of the sidewalks and the curb ramps that are owned and maintained by the county within the public right-of-way. We got that effort mostly done, and staff did not have the time to run the public process and write the reports that are required for this program. So we contracted with PBS, one of our on-call engineering firms, to go ahead and do that process. So we started this process with PBS probably around January of this year. We gave them our inventory. They went through the documentation to determine areas where we had ramps and sidewalks that are tripping hazards or don't meet the current design standards for the ramps. They made our self-evaluation report. We then did public outreach. We've done 2 public outreaches. There was an online survey available to the public. And from that feedback and our self-evaluation, we created the transition plan, which includes all of the locations that we need to be upgrading and a plan moving forward on how we're going to do that annually. I did have a couple copies of the first pages of the transition plan, which is really the meat of the report. And I have a couple copies if anybody is interested in the whole report. It's 92 pages, but the first pages that I printed out give you the idea.
So Susan, most of the county roads don't have curbs and gutters, so they're not necessarily affected by this.
Yes.
It's just those urbanized areas that have curbs and gutters that can pose that tripping hazard. And the typical tradition was you just put the curbs and gutters and crosswalks. But with the ADA, we've had to go back and reanalyze where it is appropriate for ramps. If we want to get federal and state grants to carry out those improvements. So typically Lexington's probably the area with most of the need for the adjustments.
Yes.
And some of the areas in West Longview, but even those in West Longview don't have a whole lot of.
There's not a whole
Curbs
lot.
and
So it's
gutters.
mainly Lexington, West Longview. There is a section up in Tootle on Hall Road where we have some sidewalks. There is a neighborhood in Kalama that has sidewalks. And then the area around the high school where it's mixed commercial, industrial, the city county line down there, there are a few locations where there is sidewalk within the county
And that's in
Woodland.
Woodland. Okay.
Yes. So we have just a few pockets outside of Lexington and West Longview.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution to adopt the Cowlitz County Americans with Disabilities Act transition plan for public rights of way as has been presented.
Okay. We have a motion to approve. Any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Thank you. The next item I have is another supplemental agreement. This is with General Civil Engineering Service with PBS Engineering. The General Civil Engineering Services
We use these for our four emergent projects that we come across through the years. For example, this one, we're also increasing the amount from 500,000, which we have fully obligated to 200,000. We use these companies for load ratings. In this case, PBS helped us with the ADA transition plan. When we get a grant for a culvert, a lot of times we'll go to this list if it's not a federally funded project. We use them for emergency situations when we need some help with a wall or a structure that is beyond our staffs. So that is why we have these in place. And this consultant we've been working with for 2 years, and we've spent 500,000. So we are asking to increase it by 200,000 and extend it for another year.
And you were explaining to us that there are a number of culvert replacements on tap for next year. Out of the ordinary, which is why you have to increase the
Yes.
amount.
I just received word a few days ago that some of our bridge load ratings need to be updated, which this company did some of our initial load ratings. So we'll probably extend that request to them. And then we have several grants in with the Brian Abbott Fish Berry Removal Board that I'm very proud of my staff. We have the highest ranked project on the list. So we'll definitely, as long as they fund that program, we'll at least get that project. And then we have 3 more projects on the list somewhere in the middle. So depending where the line lands. And then there's always, well, who knows what Mother Nature will do to us this winter.
Just a quick question for clarification. You triggered a bullet here, bridge load ratings. You got a notice that you had to do a bridge load upgrading. So number one, who triggers that notice to you? And how is that determined that a bridge needs a load upgrading by some external outfit?
So there are legal loads on the roadway, and 4 years ago, due to changes in trucks and specialty vehicles. So we went from the normal axle spacing to you've got one in the front with 3 together. So we had to do, those are different unit truck configurations. Washington State allows a higher load rating than the federal highways do. So federal highways and WashDOT have been in negotiations for the past 2 years over how we needed to express those in our load ratings on the bridges. So when you see those little signs, the load rating for that they hit a certain threshold, this is the rating that we're talking about. So the state and federal highways have finally come to an agreement, and the state is, I don't have how many bridges I'm going to have to rate, go back and relook at them because this was just settled last week, and we were told that 35 of the 39 counties have bridges that they're going to have to go back and relook at. And I know one of the counties that doesn't have a bridge is Island County because they have no bridges. So probability is high that we're going to have at least one, if not more bridges we'll have to look at.
So we observe that the vehicles, the trucks have extra axles, spread axles. They've also, that should have mitigated some of the load rating, at least also with the spread of over more axles, more wheels, more tires, and the spread of loads.
So, and it's actually not, we don't end up doing any work when we do these ratings if we don't have to put a sign saying that this particular truck configuration is restricted on the bridge. And then it'll just require them to get a permit from Public Works to run a certain type of loads across it.
Okay, thank you.
So quickly to answer Ron's question, and something we've talked about before is the bridge formula. That's what truck drivers use on that. It's a mathematical formula for the weight of each axle. Now, as you're a truck driver, you got to be able to weigh each individual axle, and you can't. That's the dilemma for the truck driver. Believe me, I got a stack of tickets like this because one axle's out of whack. So there is a formula for this. This is the formula they're referring to, I believe. If you haven't heard of it, that's That's
So-
where you get the little sign.
Yeah, it's a whole mathematical
Right.
calculation based on the bridge design and where the stresses are.
And
Yes.
so normal loads on your regular axles is 80,000. Oregon with the extent, with the extra axles on there, their maximum load you can carry is 102,000. This is without a permit. Washington has 1055 is the low, is the limit. And that is hugely heavy. But I can tell you, you can go over some of these bridges at 150,000 and still make it, as long as you stay on the gas. I didn't say that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the supplemental agreement number 2 of the local agency consulting agreement with PBS Engineering and Environmental Incorporated as outlined by staff.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Any other questions, comments?
The other thing is, Susan, these are reimbursement. So if they don't
yeah,
use the money, I mean, they don't automatically get it.
Correct. If we don't obligate it, they don't get it.
Okay, seeing them, call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the last one for today, I do have more of these coming with different consultants, is the supplement number 2 with General Civil Engineering Services with Parametrics, Inc. This is also one of our on-call. We are requesting to increase that from 500,000 to 1250. They are maxed out on their current reimbursement, and the reason we are requesting $750,000 is because they are the consultant that we've selected to do one of our fish culverts that is funded through Brian Abbott, and this will give them enough money to do the design. This is the culvert on North Global Creek. It crosses North Global Creek, so it's Global Creek Loop Road. That one's always a mouthful for me, out in Rose Valley.
And I noticed the date is up to 2026.
Yes, that gives them the full time of the grant.
This isn't just exclusively for this project. It could be any project, but just this project alone is how you come up with the estimate.
Yes, this project alone with leaving a little extra in there for other items. That's how we came up with such a big increase versus the others that we've increased.
No.
So I take it this is not just a culvert replacement, but it's a rebuilding of a bridge in the stream bed, an open stream bed to
Yes.
to facilitate the passage.
This existing, it's a box culvert, so it's one of our short spans. So which means it's under 20 feet over 12. Is it considered a short span? And it actually, this one does flood in addition to being a fish passage issue, and it clogs. So we're going to take care of the flooding and the fish passage to keep the road open in the winter.
So additional on the engineering services, I presume, and you can correct me, that the funding is not only for detailed design and design work, but also inspection during the construction phase, or does that come again more later?
That one will come later.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the supplemental agreement number 2 as has been discussed by staff.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Any other questions, comments?
Where this says to address additional services as needed, is that specifically to this project, or does that include other projects that may arise?
That includes other projects that may arise.
Okay.
We added enough for this project and other projects that may arise.
And between now and December 31st, 2026?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
we timed it about, right, we're right about 9:30, so we'll head into the public hearing.
Good morning, Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director. We have an agenda item for the general fund property tax levy. And the recommendation is the county will increase the regular property tax levy $0, 0%, for a tax levy before new construction and increase in state value, state assessed property value, and increase in re-levy of any refunds in the amount of $20,428,372. So that's for the general fund.
Okay,
Then we also have the recommendation for the property tax levy for the county roads fund. And that is an increase of $406,608, which represents a 2.98937% increase based upon the banked capacity from previous years, and a 0% increase for the current year's limitation. So for a total of $14,008,389.
any comments, questions from here?
We took the bank capacity, but we're not using the 1% allowance this year.
Correct. We're not using the 1%.
So next year, it'll be an option to use it as a banked.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I also, just for your information, went back and looked at when we have the levy assessment for the general fund, part of that, those funds are earmarked for health services, human services, mental health. And I'm estimating that amount to be $494,880. And then there's also a earmarked fund for state veterans relief. And I'm estimating that amount to be $222,696.
Those are just mathematical equations based on what we do with
Right.
general fund.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that those rates were not changing. So those are there's a mathematical.
So the growth in property taxes is for next year will be based on the increased, on the new construction that's added to the tax rolls.
Correct.
Any other questions up here? I'll open it up to public comment if there is. Okay. Seeing no public comment, we'll close public comment. Your pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution and levy certifications for our county general fund, the mental health services, veterans relief services, and our road fund. That will be sufficient to provide the needs for the county without fully levying the 1% allowed under state law.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. We'll call for the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Well, you'll have to be general comments. We already closed that out.
Just real quick, and it just, I know I don't understand this totally. So your taxes are gonna come off of the.
Into
new
the
construction.
Can't hear you.
microphone.
Okay, the taxes are gonna come off the new construction, correct?
New construction's included in the levy amount, yes.
Okay, so does that mean that if people are buying their homes building their homes, excuse me, that the taxes that are gonna be levied on them will be significantly higher?
I don't think I can answer that.
No, it doesn't mean that.
It doesn't,
It doesn't, okay.
theirs won't be higher than anybody else with the same value home. What happens is the value of their home changes as it's built.
Exactly.
So then their taxes change.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
thing is, if a house is built, then, they have the formula to tell you how much it costs. Well, that formula can change. And therefore, the other homes in the community do go up. And yeah, I've gone through this. Our house has risen considerably since the new homes around us have been built. And so it means an increase. It just doesn't say it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think the right way to look at this, or a useful way to look at it, is if we collect $100 in property tax before the new construction, and then there's another new construction, we can exceed bringing in the $100. Maybe it'll be $102, based on taxing the new construction at in the same rate as any of the other property in that class. So it just lifts the ceiling of how much money we can bring in.
So we've been told that the state law is fairly strict, that the assessments are based on the fair market value. So they're constantly monitoring what people buy and sell the houses for. And so that's one figure that you get when they tell you that your assessment has gone up. Kathy mentioned two very specific dollar amounts, one for the general fund and one for the road tax. It doesn't matter what the assessed valuation changes. We can only collect the amount that we've established, that we just adopted.
Right.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
levy.
So it's just divided differently as people's valuations go up and down.
Thank you, because since we've purchased our home years ago and built our home, we've had other homes built. And I've gone through this where all of a sudden our property value, our house value has gone up because of what the term is comparable value.
Right.
Is that the term?
That's the system they
And-
use in the assessor's office, yes.
Right. And all of a sudden, our comparable value is much higher, even though we haven't done anything. So I'm just concerned about that.
Thanks, Kathy.
Okay.
Okay, a couple things for open up to public comment is, we don't have any business the rest of this week. We're off for Thanksgiving. We're hoping you guys take some time and spend time with family and all that over the Thanksgiving. We'll be back next Monday for full schedule. And at this point in time, our actual last scheduled meeting of the year will be the 17th, is when we're scheduled to swear in the new commissioners, Steve and Steve. And we don't have anything scheduled after that unless one of us has a need and calls a special meeting, but the last scheduled meeting will be the 17th of this month. Okay? Did I get that all right? I got that all right. Okay, it's yours till about 10 o'clock if you have stuff you want to talk about.
Sorry, I got a big mouth. What can I say? I brought up an issue that this morning, and I have a concern, and I've been thinking about this for many months. And we talked about the Toutle River problems, okay? And a new road or riprap around the river. I feel that this project is a money pit, huge money pit. And I'm concerned that the county is going to get in and lose a lot of money in either way that they have already proposed to do. I think we need to look at it again and find another solution. I know that there's one out there. And again, hold in your mind that you're doing it for, is it 2 homes or 3 homes? And a gun club.
For residences and,
Residents.
and the shooting gun
Right.
range.
So would it be cheaper just to buy them out or move the gun club? Because you're going to spend millions to do what you, the two things that you've proposed to do, which to me doesn't sound logical. You know, and I really feel for those 2 people that live there, 3 people. I mean, I wouldn't want to have my property jeopardized as well. But the county has to look at their pocketbooks and look at my pocketbook and say, okay, this isn't feasible. And either we move you and the gun club, which is a sad thing, but it's a doable thing, or put the millions in, or find another way. And I'm sure that there's another way. I just haven't thought about it. I know the area, I horseback ride back in there. It's not the best to put a road through, but anyways, there is another way. I just propose that we search for that way. Thank you.
Well, the initial estimate, I think, was 1.8,
1.8 million.
right in that area to
That's
put
a
that
lot.
in.
That's a lot.
By the way, I appreciate that question. That's actually an excellent question. We always up here have to decide what's in the best interest of the county as an entity, and doing something to benefit, doing something we don't have to do, but for the benefit of fewer individuals is something always has to be looked at very carefully. Special interest groups, well, the best special interest group out there is the taxpayer.
Hi there. I'd like to learn a little bit more about Resolution 14, about the small works roster for the small businesses. How is that going to look? And is there someone I can talk to as to what the setup on that would be?
Sean?
So the small works roster.
And
You
Sorry.
might, you might explain how we did it before and then the law changed and what we've changed to make it more feasible?
And who are you?
So my name's Sean Rarely, Public Works. So in the past, we had the option of procuring small public works through multiple quotes and bids process. Earlier this year, that law changed on how the process worked. Anything under a certain value has to go through the small works roster process. This allows us to use MRSC's small works roster to procure those small projects through. And I believe that.
Instead of going out to bid every time.
Correct,
Thank
yeah.
You probably, if to answer it in general, or in more detail, what is a small works roster? And there's a lot of background there. I don't know if this is the right place to do it. It might be, but it can also be done offline.
So then the businesses would just need to go to the MRSC and be logged in there to make sure that they're on the list to be contacted instead of everything being sent out to bid every time.
Correct, yeah. So anything under the $350,000 value and above $40,000 would go through the small works process. When a project's put on there, it's sent to everyone on the list within the state,
Okay.
and they have the opportunity to bid on that project.
Awesome. So our small businesses, they just need to make sure that they're in there if they want the jobs.
100%.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. If nothing else, remember it, we will adjourn this one, but at 10 o'clock, Board of Health fires up, so. We will.
So in this case, we close out the morning session
Right.
completely,
Right.
because we often forget we
Yeah,
interrupt. and
that's
it-
the thing. I've held it before and then afterwards, we always forget, so.
Yeah.
So, if not,
Just a quickie observation in representing us and our spending. A number of the items this morning mentioned changes in law that ask for this, ask for this. We have tremendous amount of unfunded mandates hitting the schools and hitting everything else. So I'm presuming, and I'm asking that you as the commissioners and staff say, hey, this is a dumb tax or a dumb change or whatever, that you work with our representatives to push back. We just don't take everything that comes thrown at us. Is that a good assumption?
My impression is we're in regular contact with our legislators, the
Yeah.
SIPs, and, we have those conversations all the time.
It's a good assumption.
Yeah. And,
It's a good
and they
assumption.
agree with us. That a lot of these rules are terrible.
Okay, so the rest of that assumption says, are your advocates. When there's something dumb coming, just don't take it. Let us know so we can also speak up with our representatives. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you for attending. Enjoy your Thanksgiving with family, I presume. We will adjourn, and then at 10 o'clock, Board of Health will fire up.